Welcome to Beardy, Bruce Lee Central.
Hey everybody, it's Birdie here. What's going on, guys? Okay, so today is a very special day, and I have a very special story for you guys exclusively on this channel. So every day I get emails from all over the world, from fans of Bruce Lee, people that want to share artwork, people that want to share stories, and people that actually met Bruce Lee and want to share their story. And I really appreciate it. I read all the mails, so just keep them coming. I'm a huge fan of all things Bruce Lee. So one day I wake up and I go and check my mail, and there's an email in Cantonese. And obviously, I can't read Cantonese, so I use Google Translate and I translate the email. And it's a guy that says that he's writing this in behalf of his father, and that his father has some information he wants to share with me. And I'm like, okay, sure. And he set up kind of this interview where we have a correspondence back and forth. And it turns out that this guy had a story to tell about Bruce Lee because he was now on his deathbed and he had kept this story to himself for all these years, and he didn't want to keep it to himself in case he died because he was old and on his deathbed. So he wanted to share the story before it was too late. So I had a correspondence for months with this guy, and obviously I verified this guy, and he is completely legit. Everything he says is 100% legit. So when I found out via my contacts in Hong Kong that this guy is actually 100% legit, that's where I actually started getting really interested, because the story that he told me is, I mean, it's game changing. It's game changing. It changes everything about Bruce Lee, everything that I knew about Bruce Lee in Hong Kong. Because, at the time, Bruce Lee in Hong Kong was 18 years old and he was a boxing champion. He was a college boxing champion, inner city college boxing champion in Hong Kong, basically making him the best boxer, Western boxer in China. So he was going around and having tournaments all around in China. He never lost a match. I think he ended up becoming 23-0 was his official stats, something like that, or maybe 33-0, I can't remember. But he never lost a match and he became the champion. And this story starts out where Bruce Lee was about to have a tournament, and this guy that's on his deathbed, he was a teacher, a boxing teacher, and he had his own boxing school, and they were going around the country having boxing tournaments, and he was bringing his best fighter to this tournament, this elite tournament, and Bruce Lee was the reigning champion. And this guy, this sensei, he had his best fighter, and he said that his fighter was best because not only did he know boxing, he knew Chinese Kung Fu, so Chinese boxing as well. And he said that his fighter is invincible, he can't lose, he's the best fighter in the country, etc., etc. And he was going to take down Bruce Lee. That was the whole goal of this fighter. And so they get to this tournament, and Bruce Lee is there because he's the reigning champion. He's defending his championship, his belt. And basically, long story short, Bruce Lee completely humiliates this guy. He wins the fight with ease. And the guy he fought was, I mean, he simply wasn't good at boxing. He was probably really good at Chinese Kung Fu, but not at boxing, because Bruce Lee just pummeled him, just humiliated him. And this did not sit well with the teacher, not well at all, because he was humiliated. I mean, it was a disgrace to his entire school. He'd gone around saying that he has the best fighter in the country, he's going to beat the reigning champion, etc., etc. And this was just a disgrace to his entire school and to himself. So he couldn't stand this disappointment. So after the fight, he wanted to have a confrontation with Bruce Lee. But what happened is that Bruce Lee was returning home, and when he was returning home, he was met by the students of the school, and they were challenging Bruce Lee to a fight because they said, okay, you're a good boxer, but can you really fight? Can you fight in a street fight? Boxing with rules and gloves and all that stuff, it's nothing. It's nothing if you can't fight on the street. And Bruce Lee accepted the challenge, and Bruce Lee said, okay, we're going to have the fight on a rooftop, because if you have fights done on the street, you're just going to get busted by the police. They're everywhere. So they had the fight on the roof, and they said, okay, I'm going to meet your best fighter on the top of the roof, and we're going to fight. And they agreed to this. But it turned out that these guys, they weren't just defending their teacher's honor. They were actually being sent by their teacher. So their teacher actually sent them to intercept Bruce Lee and arrange this meeting, because the teacher was so enangered and so angry, just so pissed off, that he himself wanted to beat up Bruce Lee. So to Bruce Lee's surprise, when they meet up with the entire school up on the roof, their teacher is there. And he started talking to Bruce Lee and saying that somehow you cheated, something about that his gloves must have had something in them. Just bullshit. He just made up stuff. He just couldn't accept the fact that his best fighter lost. So he basically ended up attacking Bruce Lee. And the thing is that this teacher didn't know who Bruce Lee was. He knew that Bruce Lee was a boxer, and that's all he thought he was. He had no idea about Ip Man's training and that Bruce Lee was actually a street fighter. He didn't know about this. So he attacked Bruce Lee, and he said the fight didn't last long, and that Bruce Lee pinned him down to the ground, to the ground of the rooftop. And when he pinned him down, with his like almost in a choke, all of the students that were there, 5 or 6 people, he said, they all attacked Bruce Lee. So they dragged Bruce Lee off their teacher, and they just started attacking him, like beating on him and kicking him. And this is where Bruce Lee went into the northern praying mantis stance. And that's really interesting, because we never hear about Bruce Lee using the northern praying mantis. And this is proof. I've been saying this for all these years, that Bruce Lee was one of the few people on the planet that mastered the northern praying mantis style. And this guy now basically confirmed it, because he was a Kung Fu master himself. So when he saw the praying mantis stance, he knew that, okay, I've messed up. This guy knows Kung Fu. And Bruce Lee didn't learn the northern praying mantis from Ip Man. He learned it from the Buddhist monks in the outskirts of Hong Kong. When you go into the northern praying mantis stance, it's a multiple opponent stance. When you're facing one-on-one, you'd use something like the tiger stance or something like that. You don't use the mantis style. Mantis style is meant for multiple opponents. And that's what happened. Bruce Lee fought all of these guys with the praying mantis style. And after he basically knocked out a couple of them, the rest just ended up leaving the place. And they dragged their teacher with them, and they were just gone. And yeah, that's basically the fight. He didn't have any more details, because there wasn't actually anything else that happened. The fight was pretty short, and these guys, they weren't a match for Bruce Lee. This was Bruce Lee at a peak of his youth. I mean, he was just become the boxing champion of the inner city of Hong Kong, and he was at the peak of Ip Man's training. So this was right before he left for the United States, and he was just completely immersed with the teachings of Ip Man. So Bruce Lee started fighting on the streets when he was around 12, 13. That's his mother confirmed that Bruce Lee started fighting in the streets when he was around 12, 13. So he had like 5 or 6 years of constant training on street fights, and combine this with the boxing, and combine this with the praying mantis style, and combine this with the teachings of Ip Man. I mean, Bruce Lee was already a beast at 18 years old. So no wonder these guys stood no chance. But hearing from this sensei, this teacher that was on his deathbed, saying that Bruce Lee went into the praying mantis style, that's fucking awesome. That is awesome, because Bruce Lee, I mean, this is how smart Bruce Lee was. He was just 18 years old, and already he could just go into mantis style and take out everyone. I mean, and also to take down a kung fu master from Hong Kong. I mean, that's at 18 years old. This teacher was probably around his late 20s or 30s, something like that. So yeah, the fight didn't last long, and Bruce Lee completely destroyed this entire crew, this entire school, and his school, the sensei school, ended up being dismantled, and he basically went into like semi-retirement or hiding, or because he was so embarrassed. The news of this disaster at the boxing match where his fighter got humiliated, that news spread around the Hong Kong fighting communities, and so everybody knew that his fighter lost the match. But here's a thing: this teacher said in the letter that he sent to me, he said that, "I knew when I fought Bruce Lee on the rooftop," this is a quote, "I knew when I fought Bruce Lee on the rooftop that Bruce Lee was an amazing fighter and a talent. But it wasn't until decades later that I knew that Bruce Lee was not only an amazing fighter, but that Bruce Lee was an amazing person. Because Bruce Lee, if he wanted to, he could have told everyone about this, that he was he was tricked to go on the roof, thinking he was going to fight one guy, and ended up fighting the teacher and getting attacked by this entire class, basically this entire school. He could have told this to everyone. He could have bragged about this. He could have told the entire community. He could have told like everyone if he wanted to, but he didn't. He didn't tell anyone, not a single soul. He kept it to himself. He took it basically to his grave, because this is the only person that's ever told this story. And trust me, when Birdie says it's the only time I've heard this story, it's the only time the story has been told. Nobody has ever told this story. So this is an exclusive story that you're hearing today for the first time. Okay? So Bruce Lee never told this to anyone, and the students in the class that had this fight, they told, obviously because to honor their teacher, they never told anyone about this. So think about that. Bruce Lee, this young 18-year-old guy, could have told anyone that he was basically ambushed, attacked, and humiliated by this entire class, but he didn't tell anyone. He didn't tell anyone that he was ambushed, that he was tricked, that he was attacked by a sensei, a teacher, and that 5-6 guys attacked him. He could have told anyone. He could have bragged that he beat an entire class. He beat this sensei, he did this, he did this, that. He could have earned like amazing street cred, but he didn't. That's the character of Bruce Lee, okay? That is the character of Bruce Lee. So this guy said that decades later, he knew that Bruce Lee was a great guy. Not only a great fighter, but a great guy. And I can only imagine how many stories Bruce Lee had that he never told us, because he had just too much respect for people to go around bragging. Bruce Lee was not the kind of guy that went around bragging, okay? So, yeah, there you go, guys. What a wild story. And I think this is a complete game changer, because Bruce Lee, if this wouldn't have happened, I don't think Bruce Lee would have let go of boxing so easily, because at this time, Bruce Lee was committed to boxing, But after this incident happened, he basically let boxing go. And this is when he moved to the United States. He completely left boxing go. And I think this incident sat with Bruce Lee really hard, man. I think this affected Bruce Lee really hard. And he thought that, look, this is proof the northern praying mantis works and boxing does not. Because I don't know, but during the fight, Bruce Lee probably tried boxing with these guys and it didn't work, and he went over to the praying mantis style. Something like that. I'm guessing. Something like that. And he saw that, okay, boxing is not a good martial arts for the street. It's maybe good in a slugfest, but Bruce Lee was not a slugger. Bruce Lee was a technician. So I think this incident here is historical. I think this changed Bruce Lee's mentality completely. And the fact that he managed to take out a sensei, a teacher, and then his students in one go with the Northern Praying Mantis style, I think that proved to Bruce Lee that this is the way to go. I think that's why Bruce Lee pursued Kung Fu and created Jeet Kune Do, because he saw that this Western type style of boxing simply won't work in a real life scenario. Okay? Okay, there you go, guys. That's the story, and I want to thank this guy. I promised I wouldn't say his name. I will never say his name out of respect to this guy. And I salute you. I really hope that you're not on your deathbed. I hope that you get rid of this illness or whatever that's ailing you, and I hope you live for at least 20 more years, or even more. I don't know. But I really thank you for sharing this story before it was too late. And I can speak on behalf of my channel, the fans, you guys here, all of the 350,000 subscribers. We all say thank you to this guy, okay? We really appreciate when someone comes forward and tells a story like this. And you can best believe that we are going to keep this you and your name to ourselves. I'm never gonna divulge this information about you or your son to anyone else. It's safe with me. I'm taking it to my grave myself, just like Bruce Lee did. Okay, guys. See you guys later. Bye.